me. I am so excited to be able to connect with you all here through Zoom. I think it's an incredible medium and so cool, even though I would typically be wanting to take this class with a lot of cuddles. But here we are. So let's make the most of all being together in our own space. I wanted to start by saying maybe it would be helpful to have a pen and paper, or even just some of your own favorite oils handy, only because if some of them cross over with what I'm talking about in my routines, it would be cool for you to experience those with me in the moment. And also if you know that you're like, cool, I would love to take away some new thoughts and routines to implement, then maybe just jot down a couple of things that resonate with you in terms of the intention of the emotion around the oil. So I wanted to start by introducing myself a little bit. So I've been using oils for a few years, brought into this beautiful community by my lovely friend Melissa Cameron, and I had no choice but to use oils. They were forced on me with all of the love, and I really didn't actually expect the emotional connection to arrive. This relationship with oils that I've now got is, you know, deep within me, and I'm really excited to be here and share with you some of my love. I wanted to so I've been using oils for a few years. I basically fell in love with them as a self-care tool when I had my baby. So Hunter's almost 3, and I really was drawn to that aspect of going, here's something that I can, I can go over to my diffuser during the day, I can apply something topically, I can interrupt the thought patterns in my brain and create an intention, which for me, honestly, exercise had always been only really my real outlet, and maybe a little bit of journaling, but I'd never really had any other tools to anchor in what am I feeling, how do I want to feel. So having oils kind of be that emotional support, that medium, which is quite physical as well, I think is quite beautiful. I wouldn't say that I've got a necessarily, how do I say this? Sometimes when I think about the emotional support with oils, I always think, oh, that's beautiful, but like maybe I don't have the healing nature or the aromatherapy background to talk on that, when really I would invite you all to know that it's not really about how much you know, because Melissa will know, but I'll be the first person to be like, oh, I don't know enough. It's a constant thought, good story running in my brain, and I question it often, and I want to come to you here as your friend and someone sitting next to you who can just invite you to open your oils and see what you're drawn to. I'm not sitting here with, years and years of experience in this specific field. I just have fallen in love with it and have been keen to learn and push in on the resources that are there, which are there for you too. So yeah, that's me. As Amy said, I'm also a personal trainer. So I've been a fitness coach for over 10 years. And the reason I love working with women, more so now that I'm a mother than ever, is because I feel like I'm going to cry. I wasn't expecting that, because of how I think that we all want to feel, and fitness is the medium that has allowed me to be in front of people to do that. So there's so much. I'm just getting emotional because I am really excited to be back with my people, which is happening this week, and I've really missed the connection of going, I've got all this love for you, let me share it, but also let me teach you how to feel it in your own body. So exercise is obviously quite a physical medium, but the reason I love it is because it can shift feelings in our body and help us create incredible new feelings, right? Rather than what we can do aesthetically. Equally so, motherhood is one of the most physical jobs I have ever done, and for the mums out there, you'll know, maybe with some sore aches and pains in your shoulders, maybe some lower back challenges, some posture challenges, these things come up for us, and sort of knowing that physically, yes, we can be taking transformation through our body will enable us to feel better in motherhood anyway, right? So I'm also really passionate about the movement side postpartum, and how we can tie that into how we want to feel, away from how do I like get my body back, or just being a smaller human self, which is really quite the opposite to how we want to feel. So I hope that makes sense. I've got some notes over to my side, just in case you see me looking over to the side to just kind of rein my thoughts in. And I, yeah, wanted to start with that sort of outline too, that working with Melissa as well. So if you don't know, she's an incredible life coach, and I'm so fortunate to have her in my life as a friend and as a coach. And she's really taught me, like, I've understood these ideas before, but if it's new to you, I want to suggest to you that, you know, I want you to ask yourself, what is an emotion, before we kind of get into routines and how that works. So an emotion is a feeling, a vibration through the body, and basically this is, created by a thought. It's a neural pathway in our brain, well traveled to most of us, and a lot of our thoughts are 80% repeated from yesterday, and there is also some sort of interesting skew on that 80% of those thoughts are quite often negative. So knowing that that is a cognitive process in our brain sort of also removes that, like, I don't know, I want to say like imaginary process that, like, we can't move or change our feelings or our state outside of the, how do I say that? Yeah, I'll stop talking before I confuse anyone. But to understand that our thoughts create our feelings, which creates what we do in our life, which creates how we show up in our results in our life, and how we can reverse engineer that is a really powerful thing to understand. So that's the way that we can use our oils for intention, how we want to feel, and also ask ourselves, what is the thought that's creating this feeling? And that's something that we want to kind of get in the practice of doing when we're using our oils for intention during the day. Because there's no point in me just sitting here saying to you, I use all these great oils, go do that. I want to give you the tools to ask yourself, what am I drawn to? What do I need right now? What thoughts are in my head? What feelings am I creating? So I hope that sits good. Right, let's get into it. I've got a little bit of thoughts on some daily practices that I'm using that are helpful for me right now. And understand this has been a process for me with my oil journey over the last 3 years. I wouldn't expect anyone to come in, fresh to oils and layer so many processes emotionally, just as we wouldn't physically, right? So oils have become a habit, a daily lifestyle practice for self-care. And for some of you, just taking a couple things from today will hopefully enhance that process for you. And then I want to talk a little bit about some sometimes routines, specifically with, the emotional support. So I will also touch on some of the oils I use with my toddler. And again, for some of you trying out different oils, we all do have different chemistry and respond slightly differently. So just keep that in mind as well. But hopefully what I'm going to share with you will be helpful, that you can try it for your own kiddies as well. And yeah, lastly, I want to share with you a couple of resources that I think will be helpful for you to know, and I can pop them in later in the links as well, if you're keen to dig into some self-education a little bit more. Let me have a drink of water because I feel like I haven't taken that breath. Okay. Has everyone got an oil with them? If you don't, that's okay. But I'm going to talk through my kind of most loved oil that I like to shift my energy with, that I use every morning. And I haven't actually used it this morning, interestingly enough, right? Because I was getting all excited to get these things done. So some of my oil practices that I usually do in the morning, I haven't done yet. So I can do them with you now. My first suggestion with like sort of daily routines is have your oils out somewhere that you're going to be able to grab them, right? So I've always got oils in the bathroom. Some people will have them right next to the bed. I haven't done that since having Hunter, only because he's, I just don't want him to come and help himself right to the neat oils. But they are up on a, wee shelf next to my diffuser, straight out in the lounge. Diffuser goes on, oils go in and around my body. So the first ones I usually grab for in the morning. And some of these I wanted to share with you because you'll be already using them for the physical benefits. So cool to know the emotional too, right? I think sometimes when we can know that on purpose, we're more likely to really be in that moment with what that oil can do for us. I also have got some notes here because I don't want to miss anything out, so just forgive me if my eyes are not always straight down the lens with you. Okay, so the first one, frankincense. Can you see it in the lighting here? I know that I just asked you what oil you had, and I started talking about a different one, and I just need to go back to frankincense because I need it right now. So we'll swing back around to whatever else you've got. So frankincense is our oil of truth. It is incredible for any anxious feelings, any overwhelm, any irritation. Most of you will know that physically this oil is also very grounding and incredible for, you know, healthy cells. I use this oil almost as a everyday preventative measure for my mood as soon as I roll out of bed. So drop on the thumb, straight to the roof of the mouth. It's woody, you can follow it with a glass of water. And I can already smell that straight from the bottle, right? But if you wanted to too, you could take a drop or two on your hands, rub them together, and quite obviously stopping and breathing for the emotional support for oils is where we kind of interrupt that thought pattern. So I do want it to be a slow process. If you feel good taking that on the roof of the mouth, you can. Otherwise, you can just breathe in from the bottom. A few deep breaths. Oil is really, really woody is the best way to explain that. It's very deep, strong, masculine oil. I will tell you, not one that I typically was like, oh yeah, get in around my face immediately, but it is really strong, and I think that's really beautiful first thing in the morning. That's just like a big, I was gonna say, like a big protective cuddle, right? Just like, it's okay, here I am, I got you. Yeah, oil of truth. If you're feeling unprotected or separated, it's just going to bring you back into unity. Beautiful for any meditative practice. I know a lot of people will use this, you know, through grounding, through the third eye application. If that excites you and that calls to you, please do that. But otherwise, know that, like I say, in the broadest sense, it is helping you feel protected, unified, and safe. So that's frankincense. I'm gonna move on to I tend to start the morning a little slower. And interestingly enough, through this lockdown, I'm not getting up I'm still getting up early with my child, but I'm able to kind of sit, have a coffee with him while he's hanging out with me in the morning, having breakfast, and kind of be a little bit more. Typically when I'm, front facing with clients, might be up and straight out the door and not really have any moments for this. But if that is how you are, you can also, maybe keep your oils in the car or in your handbag, or kind of do these processes when you get to where you're going. But if you can have these in your home to reach for immediately, they really will help. You will notice a difference. So in line with keeping things slower first, and when I said have you got an oil handy, we'll get there. I actually just want you all to have peppermint. But if you don't have peppermint, that's okay, because we're going to come up after this, right? But let's just chill for a moment. So balance, grounding blend. I've been using this more. This bottle is almost empty, more than I ever have in my life in the last little while. Morning, sometimes afternoon, night, definitely, and all over my child often. Safely. So balance is our grounding blend. It is absolutely incredible for I don't even need to look at my notes, but it's incredible for helping us bring us into the present. So it's an oil that has always reminded me of the forest. Most of you will identify with the fact that when we breathe out oils, and they very much take us to smelling real plants, and this oil specifically makes me feel like I'm outside. It's just been raining and I'm in the forest alone, usually, which is a strange picture in my brain, but it's a great place to be. And one day I'll start my morning that way, although I don't really like camping, so I'll just need to somehow wake up there. So balance, I like to take over my heart space. So if you again, if you're watching this on replay and you don't have these, or you have got this oil handy and you want to join in, then do. I'm literally just like getting whatever is else left in the bottle. And I do want to breathe this one in. So a few deep breaths. So good. When I first, I'm just going to actually go up my t-shirt, but if you have got a top on that, you can put that over your chest. It's beautiful here. Or, you know, you can wear it, like Balance is beautiful perfume as well. But even just wearing it across your chest, it's going to help us feel grounding. It's obviously the grounding blend. But what I was saying before is, yeah, it helps us come back to the present moment. And if you haven't really had the experience to breathe your oils in so deep, Balance is quite a gentle oil. It's not like, you know, peppermint, which we're about to use soon, which I love, is some people are a lot less drawn to it because it's such a wee powerhouse. Balance is very soft and gentle and so supportive, that don't be afraid to breathe it in deep. Often when I share oils with people, they don't know how to do that. And I've done a little bit of yoga in my life. I wouldn't say that I'm a, you know, full-fledged yogi, but I know, you know, if you've not been in any breath practice and you go to stop and actually breathe in deeply, it can be life-changingly, like, incredible for your physiology, right? So actually just stopping to breathe in fully also gives us the opportunity to interrupt any thought loops that we don't, you know, that are not serving us. So that's Balance. One more in the morning. Typically these are my 4 at the moment: Balance, frankincense. Next I go On Guard, and then we'll get to peppermint. So On Guard is our protective blend. It's great for any people pleasers out there like me. Helps us have healthy boundaries, to help us feel you know, very confident in the fact that, yeah, we can set our boundaries and we are protected in doing so. So On Guard is a spicy one. You can breathe it in straight from your hands if you wanted to take it internally, which I am doing every morning anyway for immune support. Again, I just don't overcomplicate it. Straight back to the roof of the mouth, swig a glass of water. For some people that will be just too intense, because it's got, you know, the cinnamon in there, the clove, wild orange, and it's really quite strong. But equally so, one drop on my hand. I know a lot of people put this on the bottom of their feet in the morning, for immune support. So, you know, even if you had coconut oil in your hands, breathing it in. Just if you are applying oils topically, why not breathe them in? I know it can take a little bit longer, and it's the fastest way to get them into our body for the physical benefits. But again, it just gives that opportunity to really have that emotional benefit as well. Okay, right. If anyone was feeling any peer pressure, then hopefully On Guard's helped you move away from that, any people pleasing. All right, so moving on, let's hang out with peppermint. So peppermint is, you know, 1 drop is the equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea. It's very strong. If you, again, I know it seems like I just take everything in the morning straight through the roof of my mouth. It's because I love it the most. But you can pop a drop, you know, in the diffuser. Super invigorating. Peppermint basically is the oil of a buoyant heart. So it helps us face any emotions that we otherwise would be, you know, too afraid to face. People say that you can overuse peppermint because it's, you know, it's such an up that yeah, we don't want to abuse the properties of peppermint, and actually be able to come back down and face our feelings, but know that it is absolutely invigorating oil. So some of you again will be using this already to you know, understand the physical properties of peppermint, which are incredible for head tension, digestion, just waking on up. And I like to take this oil in my hand. I'll show you 1 drop if you can. It's always a bit of a hit and miss with that one. I like to put my hand out, put my thumb in that little bit of oil, roof my mouth, breathe on in again, and then I'm going to rub my hands together and I'm going to cup them over my nose. Stay away from your eyes with this one. You could do a couple more deep breaths with me if you wanted. If you've got peppermint handy, I do suggest that you get this one out. sometimes I try and cheat myself with peppermint, and we'll just take one breath kind of more shallow, and it just is not the same. So it has a lot to give if you're willing to take it on. Do know that, again, for some people they're going to be more sensitive, so don't sort of be alarmed if you do want to, you know, breathe a little less intense, or not as many breaths. Anyone who's got any respiratory challenges, I'm asthmatic, so sometimes breathing in this deeply first thing in the morning can be a little bit overwhelming for the respiratory system, so just, you know, do what feels good there. I'm also going to take that hand that's just had the oil drop on it, put this other hand in on top of it as a little straw, and I'm going to use my lips to breathe that right in through my chest. And people always look at me really funny because they're like, what are you doing? And I'm okay with it. It's also a really good one to use in the afternoon when you feel like coffee number 8, or before exercise. And I can talk a little bit more specifically later about, you know, the intention with our oils and movement. But this oil is the best pre-workout. Don't bother with any sort of rubbish filler stimulant. Carry on. Peppermint is your up. So, and again, if you've got anything left on your hands and you want the cooling sensation of your peppermint on your skin, you can, you know, pop some coconut oil moisturizer on your hands, pop it in the back of your neck, or, you know, for some people that can tolerate that neat, that's okay too. So that is my kind of first 4 go-to first thing in the morning before I even, you know, before I even have I usually have a glass of water with my oils, but before I kind of do anything else, that's where I go to. And that is a habit that I've created on purpose because of the way that it can support me both physically and emotionally. And like I say, oils that I would be using anyway for physical support. So that is my morning must-do jam. The rest of the day, for my interpretation, is kind of fluid. So I usually then will pop on a perfume blend. Depends where I'm going. I really love Elevation, which is in our mood management. So mood management oils, most obviously, or maybe that's not obvious. These are not oils that you would take internally. They've specifically been created for mood support, as well as the emotional kit, which I'll touch on. But if you are new to emotions and oils, and this is where I started, this would be my first kind of great, support yourself with these incredible blends that are already formulated and tell you what they do on the bottle, so you don't have to worry about sort of where you're using them in the day. So on that note, balance and lavender peace, which I'll talk about shortly, are the kind of calming oils of the mood management. And then we've got citrus bliss and elevation, which are our citrus blends. They're our uppers. So elevation is my fave. It's a beautiful oil for any despair or unhappiness, moving to super high vibes. So this oil says on it joyful blend, pretty straightforward, and citrus bliss says invigorating. Citrus bliss my husband used to actually wear instead of cologne for a long time, and he's gone back to the musty smell of, you know, adding more of that man flavor in. But citrus bliss is a beautiful perfume, diluted in a roller or with a little bit of coconut oil in your hands, behind the ears, across the collarbones, up the forearms. But elevation for me is, it's just a little richer, it's a little deeper. It's got melissa in it, which is you know, one of our most incredible oils for love and receiving, and just so supportive for us emotionally. So usually I will follow with one of those two because I love them the most, in terms of a blend that is easy to use, easy to grab for, and all of our citrus oils are uplifting. So as a general, I could have said this earlier, sorry, as a general rule, know that we've got our woody oils, kind of like our tree barks and resins, and then we've got our citrus oils, which are, you know, lemon, bergamot, grapefruit, tangerine I've got here, wild orange, just to name a few, lime. All of these oils, quite obviously, when we sniff them, are uplifting. So then we've got our minty oils, you know, peppermint, spearmint, and then our floral oils. Think, you know, lavender, geranium, rose, those type of things. So to give you an understanding, when we're looking at a blend, like something like Elevation, it's got both tangerine and lavender in it, just as an example. So it's kind of, I'm getting the benefits of both of those in the one wee bottle that's easy to use, and I can definitely create my intention around how I want to feel with that joyful blend. No to that, in terms of how oils work in our brain. So when we sniff them in our nose, they basically go, through the olfactory system. They go, all you need to know is they work with our limbic brain, which is where we use, where we store our memories, where we have our motivation. If you can think of a smell that maybe reminded you of childhood, or I often find this when we will have foods in our house that are like, from when we were younger, like goody gumdrop ice cream, or people will often say this with something like lavender. They'll say, oh, that reminds me of my grandma. It's because the scent of that oil is working with the part of your brain that regulates that mood and emotion. So it actually bypasses the thinking part of our brain, which is why when we come back around to what I said earlier, when we've got thoughts that are creating those feelings that are not serving us, that's how it works together to be so powerful for intention with our mood. So that's those two in the mood management. Moving forward, just want to touch really briefly on some of the oils that you might use, yes, either on your body, but also just to have in the diffuser during the day. So as I mentioned, all of our citrus oils are very uplifting, very invigorating, help us feel really positive. Some of my faves, I know this is Melissa Cameron's favorite oil, bergamot. So oil of self-love. If you are wearing these oils in a perfume, then be aware not to be out in the sun. They really need some sun protection. So keep them, under your clothing. Good to know. Even though we move through this kind of overcasty spring weather, there's still some beautiful days out there. So keep that in mind if you're wearing your oils on your wrists, like I said before, behind the neck, over the chest. Just you can also put them always on a scarf or a jacket, or I always find that with my ice blue, because it's so strong, get to that. So my gym bag always just smells like ice blue. So anyway, I get distracted here. I'm moving back around to oils that we can diffuse. So our uplifting oils. Tangerine is one I've fallen in love with again recently. It's incredible for mood support. It's supported by Dr. Hill, as well as our grapefruit. So these two together are incredibly uplifting for us, and they're going to help you feel positive. Grapefruit is also the oil of honoring the body. It's really also good in a bit of soda water, and with or without vodka, and or lime oil also. I don't know if that's also good for mood support. Probably relevant. So grapefruit is one that we can also apply in maybe like a body moisturizer physically on our body. If we're again trying to create that intention to be with our body as it is, to love our body, to sort of not have so many negative thoughts running around in our heads. If we're in judgment about our body, that's a beautiful one to apply topically. But yeah, uplifting for our mood. Lemon is the oil of focus. So lemon is beautiful in the diffuser. So crisp, uplifting. Maybe you pop it in with some of your frankincense if you're needing some of that grounding during the day. Always know that if in doubt, come back to frankincense with your oils. In terms of mood support as well as our physical support, it's going to enhance the effect of your other oils. So always good to kind of keep that forefront. And I think sometimes when it gets to diffusing, we can overcomplicate it. If you're trying to have your diffuser going during the day at your desk, don't sort of overwhelm yourself. Maybe you just have a couple of oils on your desk that you pop together in the diffuser. And I would say too, just like my oils in the morning, the oils that are easiest for me to grab, I'm typically going to grab, right? I mean, I'm not tidy in terms of my oil collection. I love them. I use them all the time. It's a bit of a mess, but I do have them all in one place. I just kind of grab and go. So I know that if lemon is right next to the diffuser with some grapefruit and or tangerine, or maybe a bit of peppermint getting into the afternoon, I know that those are what I'll use. And most obviously you can get beautiful diffuser blends. If that's your jam and you want to play around with how that can support you emotionally, there's definitely resources to make your own blends for specific feelings that you want to evoke. But simple is also really good. Don't go past, you know, the simple effects of even just one oil in the diffuser during the day to support your mood. One of my faves, lastly on the citrus, is wild orange. Oil of abundance. It is so sweet and so beautiful, and again, I love this on my body, but also just in the diffuser. It makes everyone a happy time in my house, and I love it for that. So that's kind of, I want to say, middle of the day oils. At the moment, I've got in the diffuser spearmint, oil of confident speech. I fell in love with this oil last year doing some touring around the country speaking, and although it might sound and look like I'm relaxed now. I mean, I'm here with us. Thanks, Amy. I'm here with us, and I'm so happy to be with you all. But I still always feel that kind of nervousness before I speak to people. Always. So frankincense, roof of the mouth. You might have noticed I did that earlier, and spearmint in the diffuser. And sometimes if I've got that in a roller as well, I'll just roll it down my throat before I speak. Yeah. So that spearmint. Obviously, you can play with whatever your fave oils are in the diffuser, and you can go, oh, I love this oil for me, and I love the smell. What does it do for me emotionally? That's the other way around that you can do it. You know, investigate what you're already grabbing for. Listening to some beautiful conversations about oils through our doTERRA convention at the moment, and listening to some daily routines of some other people. I'm like, oh wow, I would never grab that oil. I would never grab that oil. And there is, you know, quite obviously well over 100. So there is that sort of innate, like, your body will know what you need. If you're drawn to an oil to pop in the diffuser or to wear or to inhale, then, you know, aside from the physical benefits, don't be afraid to investigate what that is doing for you emotionally, because it will be a reason that you keep reaching for it with repeated use. Okay, so as we move on, I want to talk about just 2 oils that I use specifically with Hunter. So I always pop balance on him in the morning now, lower back for little ones with, you know, some dilution, and or bottoms of the feet, just a place where they're not going to be able to put their fingers in it and into the eyes. He is, I mean, I just am so grateful that I've got these tools to use with him. He is all about it. He'll pick up a roller and pop it on his feet. He thinks it's a great time. So if you can get your kids involved in that daily practice of oil application and support too, it's you know, well, it's easy for a start because you're not fighting them to put something on their body that they don't know what it is. So I love that he also loves them. So balance is our go-to in the morning. Afternoon, typically daycare pickups can be a little bit touch and go, just in terms of the overwhelm. So I'm the one that will catch all the feelings in the afternoon. That's when we use Peace. So Peace is our reassuring blend. If you're not familiar with the emotional blends, like I said before, we've got, I won't spend too much time on them because, again, they are there for you to kind of grab and go. And I do suggest that you start there if you're new to emotional support with oils. Sometimes you won't love the smell of the oil, and that's okay. You can still get the emotional benefits. And if you don't want to wear it all up in here, you know, lower back or bottoms of the feet, just know that your intention around that oil can still be used. So Peace in Console. This oil is a comforting blend, and it smells really sweet, and I love these both for me. And often when I'm using these with Hunter, you know, on the lower back or the bottoms of the feet, even if he's literally just got in the car and he's really hard to get in the car seat, or we get home and he like doesn't want to get out of the car, or I'll put them on first and then I'll put them on him, and then when we get to the point where we can have a cuddle, I smell like these oils up and around me. So I'm creating that emotional anchor for both of us, that these are what we turn to. I've really found that that's so helpful with repeated use with him. And lavender Peace. So yes, straight lavender as well. Don't you know, look past our good old beautiful straight lavender. Floral oil. lavender is, don't have my notes here, and I knew that I would forget. But do you know what? I'm just going to look it up because it's that easy. If you don't know, then you just go to your ebook. But lavender peace is the oil of tranquility, and it's a blend that has got some of our other stronger oils in it, and it is it's beautiful for sleep support. Lavender is the oil of communication and calm. So I did know that. My brain just lost it for a little bit. As it works for us physically, it also works for us emotionally. So any fear, any racing thoughts, emotional dishonesty, it's that easy to look up an oil that you've got on hand and go, cool, great, that's what I'm doing. But lavender peace, yeah, this oil is the fourth one in our mood management. So restful blend, smells to me like vanilla-y lavender, so quite a bit more complex, quite a bit deeper. I always pop this on the bed sheets for Hunter, bottoms of the feet before bed, and possibly I'll use, you know, balance as well on him as well, but always I pop lavender somewhere he can sniff it, or on his wee cuddly, you know, Lula doll. Any of the mums out there with a Lula doll spent $100 on this toy that is meant to help him sleep by making breathing noises, but really it's just so I can't put oils on it. Okay, so that's in terms of managing the wee ones, and also I would encourage you to, if you've got kids, to don't be afraid to let them, you know, these blends that are made up in the rollers are beautifully safe for kids and elderly, already good to go. So don't be afraid to let them, you know, explore with you, and again they might have a flavor and a scent that they are into. Some of the other ones in there that are supportive for daytime use, Chia is our uplifting blend. Forgive, really great again after any kind of meltdowns or self-judgment for you as well as a mama. And passion is a sexy one. It's got, I mean, it doesn't say that on the bottle, it says inspiring blend. It's got cinnamon in it, which is great if we're feeling, you know, basically any constriction or rejection. I did write it down too because I knew that it was a new, yeah, any feelings of being denied. But yeah, also oil of sexual desire. Interesting, right? It's not the only ingredient in passion. It's just what it smells like to me. It smells like smoker lollies. You know, those like little pink. Anyway, yeah, it's a good one. Sometimes I'll wear that as a perfume too, just for something different, a bit of a different flavour. Okay, moving on to a little bit of night time, then we'll go into the sometimes, then we'll do some exercise intention things. Hopefully we are okay for time. Yeah, cool. Okay, so oils for nighttime. I know that a lot of people will go straight for the wood oils for sleep support. So cedar wood is an oil connection if you're feeling any isolation. Again, really deep, strong, woody oil that you might be using physically already. Vetiver, similar, also in our lavender peace blend, really strong, really grounding, really smells like bark to me, like the forest floor, and it is very grounding for us emotionally. Any sort of crazy thoughts or disconnect that can really help bring you down, it's such a strong one. I know a lot of people will pop this, you know, on the big toe, bottoms of the feet, and or diffuse for incredible sleep support, but also emotional support. You know, it works very similar for us. A couple of the oils that I was going to touch on to take us slightly sideways is at night is when I'll usually use my digestive blends. So digestin, and or peppermint and or ginger. So usually I like to take 1 drop of these with some coconut oil or moisturizer, apply topically on my body. Again, I'm doing the physical action of, I know what this is doing for me physically, emotionally, and I'm doing something to my body to stop my current thought pattern. And yeah, it's so interesting to know how these oils can work with us. Ginger is great for me. It's very good if you're in any victim mentality. It helps us to feel empowered and accountable for our actions. I often find, you know, and I'll share this with you guys, with my stepson, so he's 12, and my husband, who's 42, it doesn't matter how old he is, but they have an incredible bond. And I often will get really jealous when at night, and I know Melissa's probably laughing at me because this is something she's heard many times, but if anyone's a step parent and you have this incredible relationship where you father his own child and he's in love with him so deeply, and I also have this love for my stepchild, but they've got this bond that is, you know, their own. And I've really only understood that in a different way since I've had my own child. But knowing that sometimes at night when they're playing, and it's, by the way, it's not because I don't want them to play, but there's a good story in my brain that somehow I'm missing out on that. And by the way, I could go play and kick and fight with them, but I actually don't want to do that. I just think it's really good for me to remind myself that actually there's infinite love in the world, especially between these own four walls in my house. And Ginger is beautiful for any of that victim mentality that's coming up. So if that's you, and it may not be the same situation as me, but you know, that can come up in a lot of ways of not facing what we are creating ourselves with our own thoughts that are on repeat. So that's when I use at night. Digest Zen works for us equally as it does physically, great for processing any emotions that are really heavy, helping us to move through our stuff. Another oil that I like to use at night, and for some of you this might be a time where you do any gratitude work or any downloading of your thoughts. I'll talk about that shortly in terms of swinging it back around to how we can use our oils with movement and mindset. But geranium is an oil that sometimes I'll use at night. I always say I use my oils across the chest, but it's great in the diffuser as well. It's quite a strong floral oil. Yeah, it's beautiful in our skincare, and equally so is frankincense. But if you know how those work emotionally as well, geranium is, beautiful for us to move towards love and trust, forgiving, being tolerant, and letting go of any grief. So maybe that's with your relationship with yourself or with others. You know, sometimes at night we can get in that head spin of processing the day or doing things differently in our head. So if you're feeling like that's where you need to love and trust, then geranium's really supportive for that. Okay, I feel like that's most of them on my list of the sort of most everydays. A lot of people actually, finally I'll finish with this one, a lot of people will grab past tense in the evening. So typically I'll use this oil for quite severe head tension. It's beautiful and cooling to the skin, but equally so in the evening a lot of people use this for, you know, sleep support. It's actually relaxation blend, which I find interesting. It doesn't smell relaxing to me and to a lot of people it's got a really strong scent, and it's great for bringing us back to equilibrium. So if you think about physical head tension, you know, our body giving us a sign that potentially we need to rest or there's something that we need to change in our physiology to move through that head tension, then equally emotionally brings us out of any fatigue and into calm to support us there. So I feel like those are a good chunk of what I wanted to speak on. I'm just going to grab another sip of water. Okay. My sometimes oils. I won't spend too long on these because really that's just like the rest of them. But I will mention this sometimes oil that you might be using already physically. So Cara. This is our monthly blend for women. Some people love the smell, some people do not. It has got clary sage in it as one of the main ingredients, and it is beautiful for, you know, support around our monthly cycle. So any menstrual pain, physically I'll use this quite often over my abdomen. It's great for hormone regulation. I actually didn't have my period for like 3 years, and this is one of my first experience with oils with just straight clary sage, and yeah, applying it topically religiously for a few months, I really do believe brought my hormones back into check. And anyway, so Claricalm is the oil of vulnerability. So often if we are feeling irritable through our hormonal changes through the month, most people will start to notice either, you know, in that week before their period or the week of, that really their mood is just a lot more irritable. You might be more emotional overall, like, you know, just more sensitive to things. So Claricalm is there to support you to feel vulnerable, to be actually able to open up to those feelings and know that they are okay. That's one thing with, I think, really getting my hormones in check, that I've loved about using my oils, because I have that kind of almost predictable nature now through the month where I'm like, great, I want to use this. You can use this oil every day, by the way, and it will be very supportive to your hormones if you do. But also emotionally, I know I'm already definitely using it, you know, in the month for a good couple of weeks. Every day, back of the neck. Again, you can use it across the chest or down through the abdomen area anyway. But yeah, it is incredibly supportive for us to feel that vulnerability and not turn away from thinking that we have to be on or feeling the same, you know, throughout every week of the month. I think has really helped me to be able to sit with that and work with my thoughts and my emotions around that time. Okay, magnolia helps us to feel confident. So this oil actually is again another floral, so quite a strong, beautiful oil. It's not for everyone in terms of the smell. I mean, I know that my husband doesn't like it, and I don't care because I like it. And again, this might be something that I would sub out instead of one of my citruses in the morning, or maybe I would rub it up my forearms as a perfume blend to kind of leave the house and do powerful things. And I always just feel like all of my floral oils are there to wrap me up and make me feel like everything's going to be okay. Aside from those citrus oils, which are, you know, uplifting and invigorating, I feel really just supported and almost beautiful, maybe is the right word. With the floral oils, I feel like they are kind of, they're there to support us in that way. So also this oil here, I spoke about recently in video, is rose, which I shared last week actually, regarding kind of all the change moving through this lockdown, coming in and out of it, and through level 2. I know that I shared that there was going to be quite a lot of stuff that I would miss, like having my husband home for lunch and having all this connected family time, but equally, you know, to love myself through the process of being grateful for everything that I've been not able to experience out in the world, like hopping in my car and driving down the road and going to the beach. So rose is the oil of divine love. It is here to just make you feel loved, to open your heart if you've had any heartbreak, any closed feelings, any strong grief. I want to keep my explanations pretty simple, but you'll know if rose is an oil for you by the smell of it. Amy said she went through an entire touch bottle. I'm assuming you've written there through lockdown. It's definitely one that can be shared around the family, and this beautiful touch bottle as well. It's a precious wee one. Okay, and again, my favorite way, to the wrists, breathe in, and behind the ears or across any of the heart space. And Amy just said that keeps your energy nice and high. So beautiful high vibration oil. Right, moving on. I'll stop apologizing because this is what I'm here for. I want neat oil so bad for my face. Rose skin, yes. All of our floral oils are so supportive to our skin as well. So I know it's hard to get your hands on, the neat. The other one I have here is Whisper, and Whisper, I feel like I had notes on a different page, but that's okay. I do know that this oil is really, really beautiful. I mean, it's a blend for women. It helps us be all feminine about it. So this oil is a blend of different florals. So it's also got bergamot, which we talked about is our, our citrus oil for self-love. It's got rose in here, jasmine, cinnamon I've spoken about, ylang ylang and jasmine are both beautiful supportive florals as well. It's just, it's so gorgeous. And if you didn't know, whisper actually sort of changes scent depending on your own personal chemistry. So it's one that can be, just smells like you when you put it on. But for me personally, I will grab whisper when I'm like, I would like to smell like all the beautiful things, and this is absolutely a perfume oil or pure fume. You might hear these blends referred to through our wheat oil community because they are pure and there's no other nasties in them, and they can stay on your skin and support you through the day. Okay, let's move through a little bit of intentional emotional support through movement and clearing our emotions. So I want to sort of wrap up by talking about the ways that we can use our oils when we know we want to move through something. So I will always use peppermint and or easier. So easier is our respiratory blend. It is really incredible for being open to receiving love, great for any strong grief or anxious feelings or overwhelm. Often people will use easier. Actually, I like to also diffuse this with lavender or the lavender piece like I mentioned in Hunter's Room, specifically if he's sniffly, but I also know that emotionally it's so supportive because it allows that full breath. So when we sort of are dealing with constricting emotions, you think about your physical body and how your posture will be in the state of, I don't know, despair or sadness or anything else that we're kind of dealing with that is quite literally heavy on our shoulders. When we stop and breathe in an oil that's beautiful for respiratory support, we're literally changing our body physiology, because we are able to open up through our airways, and equally emotionally, it's really incredibly powerful. So I, like I say, if I'm wanting something to support me through exercise intentionally, I will always use my peppermint first regardless, because it just helps me breathe better and work harder, and also creates that like, right, okay, now we're going to move on purpose. And easier can do similar thing for us on our chest as well, and breathing in. So the other oil that I wanted to mention here is Motivate. So Motivate is kind of spicy, kind of herby. It's got some rosemary in here, some coriander, and as well as that melissa and vanilla. So it's a really unique blend. Motivate is our encouraging blend within our emotional aromatherapy kit, and it is beautiful for helping us go to feelings of feeling confident. If we've been feeling stagnant, if we've been feeling like we don't want to move, I mean the kind of nature is in the name, right? Motivate. If you are really struggling to do any intentional movement, I would encourage that you pop Motivate, in the diffuser or on your wrist, breathe it in. You can absolutely wear it as a perfume, which I know some people do. It's a little herby for my love to just kind of wear around, but if I'm wanting something to move me towards any form of movement, and understand too from a coaching point of view, I say movement because going for a walk or intentionally stretching, lifting weights, dancing, whatever your jam is, whatever moves your body. I heard something last night that sounded so beautiful through, again, listening to all this incredible convention content, and it was anything that changes the vibration of how you feel in terms of physical movement is your jam. Like, do that intentionally, sometimes regardless of what your thoughts are saying. So I guess from a like I say, from a coaching point of view, I'm never going to want anyone to like lift weights 7 days a week, or do high intensity training 7 days a week. we don't have any time for rest and repair, which is when we recover, which is when we actually, repair our tissues, we get fitter, we get stronger. But equally so, I would say sometimes when I don't even feel like going for a walk, because I've got things to do, or I'm, haven't slept as well as I wanted to, I will put on the oils and I'll go. And it might be a 10-minute walk or listen to a few songs and turn around and come home, and I know that my mood would have changed. So using our oils to go, actually, this is what I said I'm going to do, and not feeling overly motivated. Motivation is, again, it's a feeling, right? It's fleeting. It's not a like, oh, well, there's the motivation in my body, I can see that. It's something that we create with our thoughts. Sometimes it's going to be more naturally occurring than others, given our circumstances. So that is those few, and the other one that's worth mentioning is this bad boy. So ice blue, ice blue. Okay, so this oil, for me, and again, like emotionally, it's very supportive for helping us move through our stuff, for helping us feel, for welcoming. For me, this really helps me welcome any discomfort that is showing up in my physical body. If you haven't used this rub and you've only ever used the oil, which is still incredible, where is this? This is in our top 10. You can pop this in a roller, coconut oil, down the back of the neck, across the traps, really soothing to our muscles. Using a massage blend on your legs or your arms or your hands. Let someone else give you a massage with it, if you wanted to create that connection. But yeah, ice blue helps me actually go, it's okay to feel physical discomfort, and I can move through it. And that's just my own personal kind of take. I will often use this with Clary Calm across my abdomen for any, period pain, which is really supportive for me. Any lower back challenges that I have with tightness since giving birth, and managing around my physical movement. So because it helps me to allow myself to move through pain, like I would like to use this oil, knowing that this might sound a little bit weird, but like if I want to go in and hit a really hard weight session, which I love because I love physically being strong, mostly because of the resilience building that it creates in my brain, and I get to like do a hard thing, saw that I did a hard thing, keep getting better at the hard thing. Often I'll apply ice blue before my workout, just so my muscles are like warmed, ready to go. Again, I can physically know what that's going to do in terms of my like muscle support, but also emotionally know like, cool, here comes the hard things, let's go. And or in recovery, often people will more likely just use this in recovery, after a hot shower or a bath, after a hard workout. Like I say, any physical pain, it allows me to recognize where it is and let it be there. And that's most often because this oil is so strong. You will know that it's on your physical body, and just being able to know that you can feel that also helps you to know that you can move through that physical discomfort. One thing that, again, that knowing about our thoughts and feelings, and I don't take it lightly, again, that I'm so grateful to learn this through my beautiful friend Melissa, and this has changed my life recently, is to know that I am capable of feeling any feeling, which is so powerful when we can use that with our oils to know that, like, okay, if I'm feeling discomfort, that's okay. What do I need? Rather than always just pulling towards, the floral oils or the uplifting oils or anything like that. Like, also sometimes pulling towards the ones that we know that are there to support us to move through the uncomfortable stuff, and not just hit straight for that peppermint up or for that citrus high, is cool to know. So yeah, I feel like that's most of what I wanted to talk about. Just really quickly, I want to touch on a couple of resources that I know quite intimately now and love. I know there's been an updated version probably of this ×2. So this is called Emotions and Essential Oils. It's a beautiful resource. I'll hold it up a little bit longer. I can pop a link in the comments. Very accessible to get, from similar shops where we get our rollers and things. And you can also get a little emotional chart, like in a little wheel that maybe you could have handy, so that it's just like, if I'm feeling this, this is going to support me. It's always cool to know. The other thing is having my oil, essential basic oil life book, which again you can get in a similar place that I'll link, that's easy to find. At the bottom of the description of every oil, it actually shows us the physical support, and it also has this little thing, and it says emotional balance. A lot of people will skip over that, but it's just 2 words. So for example, Manuka, it says from bothered to revived, right? So you don't have to fall head first straight into like, how do I become an emotional essential oils person, but like just start to really look for the most simple cues on the ways that you can understand what you've already got in front of you that you're already using. Yeah, cool. The only other thing I was going to share, which might sound a little bit I don't know, different again, this was one of my first personal development books. It's called You Can Heal Your Life from Louise Hay, and my mum gave it to me when I was 18, and I broke up with my boyfriend. He broke up with me. And I'd never heard of personal development. I didn't understand what she's talking about, my brain and how my thoughts do things. But at the back of her book, there's a bit on here called The List, and she's got another book actually called Heal Your Body. But my point is, at the back of this book, there's a few pages on affirmations that you can say in line with how you want to feel in your body related to any physical ailment. So for example, it says here, addictions, probable cause, running from the self, fear, not knowing how to love the self. And then she provides a wee affirmation, which is, I now discover how wonderful I am. I choose to love and enjoy myself. Who doesn't feel good saying that? Right? So there's a whole bunch of them that you can look through in the back of the pages. And it might be your jam and it might not. And that's okay if it's not. If you are a person who likes to do affirmations and journal, release, brain dump, any of the things, it is beautiful for using your oils. So having an oil through any meditative practice, any like I say, any journaling, anything that you want to create, or any just like listening to your favorite song and creating a scent that you can attach to that. Like I say, being in your home with your family and creating an intentional scent that's like your blend for your family. Maybe you would use that when you went away on holiday to create the same feels, or like I say, after school oils that your kids love. Use what you are drawn to, use the resources that are there to teach yourself the best ways to utilize all the beautiful properties that your oils have to offer. And if you want to dig deeper into this stuff, then know that it's there for you. And if you've got any questions, let me know. Amy, maybe say hey.
Thanks so much, Cara. That was so good. Sorry, we've got so many phones going on here, so I'll stop the recording.